back, friends. I allowed myself to take a prolonged hiatus, which I regret. And in that time, I've been doing some thinking, and I'm coming back with the Mindful Classroom podcast. I guess we'll call this season 3 since it's a restart. And I think the biggest thing that held me back was thinking that I had to maintain some kind of a half-hour show or had to go at a certain length. But then I was listening to The Daily Stoic with Ryan Holiday. And what I noticed was he comes on daily and just shares a bit of wisdom, similar to what I've done either from the cold plunge or from my car ride into school when I was back to teaching. And then once a week does a long form where he spends a little bit more time. And I thought that would be a perfect means for me to be able to put this up that, hey, if a show goes 5 minutes and I have something to talk about for 5 minutes, that's a perfect amount of time. If it goes longer, that's great. So once a week, I will do a longer form where I kind of talk about books and my take on whatever I'm reading, and I guess giving everyone something to think about or something to respond to me thinking about or questioning. But I think that less structure is going to work better for me. I think that's a format that I can really bring to life and make work. So today was inspired. I was listening to an interview with Arthur Brooks. Arthur Brooks is a Harvard professor. He's done work with the Happiness Project. That's his foundational work that he's doing. And he has a book, The Science of Happiness. That was a tremendous book. Maybe I'll pull it out and review parts of it as one of the next things that I do. But I was just listening to him on a discussion with Rainn Wilson on Soul Boom, which is a tremendous podcast if you ever want to give it a listen. And I think it's 3 episodes in so far, just exploring spirituality, life, interactions. And Arthur Brooks boiled happiness down to 3 components. And before I get into them, it's really interesting because prior to hearing this today, I had the discussion yesterday with a former student. We took a wonderful walk, had a beautiful conversation. And one of the things we talked about was how important it is, because we haven't seen each other in person in a long time, how important it is to have personal interaction, that one-on-one, seeing each other and just experiencing each other's energy and what comes from that. And then today, as I was listening to Arthur Brooks talk about the 3 things that we need to do for happiness. That's it. 3 things. Sounds simple. And yet we fail on them more than we succeed. And we is intentional because it's myself included. So he talked about, number 1, control your dopamine. And unfortunately, walking around in our pocket is a dopamine source. I mean, your phone is your primary dopamine feed. Whether it's surfing the web or shopping or that ding when you have a message, all of our notifications that are going off. We are constantly being fed dopamine. And the problem with dopamine is you don't get satisfied. If you have a little bit, you want more. And that inconsistency of dopamine is something that we thrive for. So it really gets hard to stay away from it because when we get a little bit, we want a little bit more. So for instance, you post something, I post something up on social media. I want to go back 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour later and look at, how many people have liked it? Has anybody commented on it? Then if I make a comment on the comment, I want to see if it goes into a discussion, further dopamine feed. So as an experiment, you can do the same thing. If you have your phone in your pocket when you're having a conversation with somebody and that phone buzzes in your pocket, pay attention to that almost uncontrollable demand to see what that buzz was, to check that phone. And that's why even if I'm having a conversation with you and I put my phone upside down on the table, once that phone buzzes, my mind gets taken away from the conversation and goes to the phone. So that idea of restrict and control your dopamine is an absolutely incredible thing. And that's why they come up with the idea of a dopamine detox, taking a week or taking 2 weeks where you don't go on social media, you try not to carry your phone with you much, and you really try to keep away from those sources of dopamine that are going to feed you. Because unfortunately, the algorithms for a lot of these programs are designed intentionally to give you that inconsistent stream of dopamine that keeps you coming back and keeps you wanting more and keeps you looking at those things. So that was his first step. His second step was don't be manipulated so you are hating others. Wow. All you have to do is look at the news to see that. Everything we see in the world around us is how we can hate somebody else, how we can hate another group. Uh, and it's across the board, whether it's the Middle East, whether it's this upcoming presidential election, whether it's a hot button issue you have. We judge people on very simple things. And then based on that, we're manipulated into hating them because they think something or they say something that we take offense to. So once we take offense, we then decide, oh, we can't listen to them at all. We can't like them at all. We need to channel our anger toward them. And if you watch the news cycle, you're constantly, we're all constantly being fed this divisiveness and this hatred. Likewise, we live in a little think bubble, and everything we see on our social media feed is choreographed to give us what's going to spur us to keep coming back, and that's feeding fear and that's feeding hatred, and those things are taking us away from that moment of happiness we can be in. But it was the third one that struck me the most. That third one was, we need to make more eye contact, physical eye contact, and physical touch. And physical touch depends on your comfort level with whatever that is. For some people, it's a handshake. For other people, it's a hug. But that idea of being in physical contact with people is so important for making us happy. Unfortunately, most of us are really struggling statistically. We should be getting at least 11 or 12 moments of contact a day, whether that's a high five or a hug. And, I read a great statistic that a hug that lasts 11 seconds releases endorphins in us and makes us feel better and makes us a happier person inside. So as we go through life and we're doing more and more Zoom calls, no physical contact, really no true eye contact. Because while I'm looking at you through a screen, and in some cases, I'm going to say it's the best we have at the moment, it still doesn't do what physical touch and physical eye contact can do. And that's a really, really big thing. I'm watching it now with my daughter and her, raising with my son-in-law, my daughter and my son-in-law raising my new grandchild, and how important it is for a child to have that physical contact and that physical touch. And somewhere we think that goes away, but it's a really, really significant quality that we have and that we have to work on. So we boil that down to, if we want to pursue a happier life, 3 things: control your dopamine, don't allow yourself to get manipulated into hating other people, and go through life making more eye contact and having more physical touch. Those 3 things can do wonders for increasing our state of mind, our happiness, and where we are. So, welcome back to the Mindful Classroom. I look forward to talking to you and sharing with you. And the truth is, for many of you, I hope I see you in person and we can have that physical eye contact and we can share our thoughts live and in person. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.